Previously on Week Slam.
Alright, next week's activity is learn how to golf, suggested by Daniel and Ty.
Hello and welcome to Week Slam with your host Sam, where the goal of my channel is to try out a new hobby, interest, or activity for 1 week straight and give you guys the progress update about what you can learn in 5 days. As you just saw, this week's viewer suggested activity is learning how to golf.
According to popular belief, golfing was invented in Scotland somewhere in between the 15 and 1600s, although there have been records of a game that uses branches to whack a stuffed ball way back in Roman times. There's also a Dutch game called Kolven that was invented around the 1400s and shares similarities to golf, but more accurately resembles ice hockey, being that it's played over frozen canals. Regardless of where it began, the golfing we know gained popularity around the 1500s off the coast of Scotland, and was popular with both men and women. Mary, Queen of Scots, was also an avid golfer and actually faced ridicule for playing a game of golf the day after her husband was murdered. This early form of golf only had 12 holes in the game, was played with carved out wooden balls, and used clubs made from beech, holly, pear, and apple trees. In the year 1618, they started making golf balls from leather with feathers tightly packed inside. This innovation helped the balls fly farther, but was a costly and time-consuming process, often taking up to 8 hours to complete. In modern money, these balls, called featheries, costed anywhere from $10 to $20 a pop, which made golfing a very expensive hobby, no longer accessible for the common man. It wasn't until the 20th century, with the innovation of the Gutty and Haskell balls, that your average Joe was able to play once again. Fast forward to today, and golfing has become nearly a $100 billion industry that's popular across the globe. Although China currently bans the building of new golf courses, stating that the sport is an extravagance and a waste of valuable land. Golf was also one of the only sports played on the moon by astronaut Alan Shepard. Despite being invented in Scotland, the very first 18-hole golf course was built on a sheep farm in Downers Grove, Illinois in 1893 and is still playable to this day. In a typical game of golf, you have 2 schools of play. The long game that consists of wide-ranged hits like driving, and your short game that uses closer hits like chipping and pitching. For this week, I'll be working on my long game.
What is up, YouTube? It is day number 1 on learning how to golf. Let's jump right in.
Before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that I've never actually played a real game of golf before, but have been to Topgolf a handful of times with friends, and of course played mini golf over the years. So when it comes to actually practicing, this is my first go. On day 1, I mostly tried to familiarize myself with holding the club, lining up my shots, and the correct foot positioning. After watching a video online, I tried to improve my form by pressing the back of the club to my chest and doing an exaggerated swing, which is supposed to show you how to rotate your torso. In the beginning, I had quite a few misses and my shots didn't go too far, but gave me great practice for later on.
Good morning and welcome back to day number 2 of the golf game. My goal for today is to make it all the way to that driveway in the back, one time. Let's go.
Much to my surprise, on day 2, I actually made quite a few straight shots and hit consistently farther than yesterday. This was also the day I realized that whenever I'd completely miss, it was only the times I'd take my eye off the ball. So, always line up your shots and keep your eyes on the ball until you make contact. After a few good hits, I worked on my technique by keeping my arms in line with my whole body and not letting them twist off to the side whenever I'd go for a swing.
Hello, it is day number 3 of learning how to golf. Today, I set up a few targets in the field, so let's see how many of them I can hit.
And hit them I did. Granted, they might have been a little close the first day I put them out, but for the most part, I was pretty accurate to the targets. If my shot was going too far to the left or right, I'd make small adjustments like my foot positioning or rotating the head of the club in the direction I needed it to go. Today I saw a pretty good decline of hits that fell short, and if anything, they went over the target. This day, I kept working on my form and started to consciously rotate my right leg after each shot.
Hello, it is day number 4 of the golf game. Today I set the targets out a little farther than before, so let's see if I can hit them.
Now I'm kind of wishing I set them closer. Hitting the targets today was a little trickier since they were farther off, but I still managed to get a few good shots in. Something I noticed was that whenever I hit the top of the ball, instead of flying up, it would roll straight, which can be fixed by keeping your eyes on the ball, lining up the center of your club, and not forcing the swing. What I mean by forcing the swing is that when you come down, don't try and shove a ton of power behind it. This will actually throw your shot off and mess you up. In this situation, gravity is on your side, and if you keep proper form, your accuracy and range will naturally increase over time.
We have made it to day number 5 of learning how to golf. The goal for today is to simply work on our technique and hit a few targets. Let's see what happens.
Day 5 was a success. On the final day, they actually cut the grass in the field, which made seeing where our shots landed and finding the balls a lot easier. The targets were set out slightly farther than yesterday, and the majority of my hits were quite accurate. Towards the middle of the hour, I actually broke one of the golf balls in half, so I guess my technique was a little too powerful. I noticed a big improvement in the distance of my shots whenever I keep my arms and torso centered, then pivot my right leg out after I made contact with the ball. I'm pretty sure this is called following through with your shot, and no joke, that sucker would fly whenever I do this. And that is it for a week of learning how to golf. Another useful tip I learned is that if you value your sanity, do not buy wooden tees. They will literally break after every single swing, hence why I'm squatting down and replacing them after every hit. Much to my surprise, golf is a very technical sport that requires a lot of technique and form to get the hang of. My parting words of wisdom would be to always keep your eye on the ball, don't let your arms twist out of line, and feel free to play around with your stance till you find a comfortable place to consistently hit the ball. If you're thinking of giving golf a try, I will warn you it's a relatively pricey hobby when you factor in the equipment and paying to use the courses. When you're just starting out, you're probably going to need a club set, miscellaneous equipment like golf balls and tees, plus the fees to actually use the course, which in total will set you back around $500. Although, you might be able to lower this if you buy a used club set. This week I was not planning on becoming the next Tiger Woods, so I only purchased my Wilson Ultra BLK driver for around 45 bucks, a pack of wooden tees for 5, and a 75 count of reload golf balls for 20, bringing the total to a little over 70 with tax. Alright guys, that is it for episode 3 of Week Slam with your host Sam. Don't forget to leave a comment below on what activity you want to see me try next. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and share the video to help the channel grow. Thanks for watching and see you next week.